I bet I can make that go away.
There's nothing you can say.
My water just broke.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ever since the premiere of its first season back in September of 2016, This Is Us has become one of the most popular and emotional family-driven dramas to ever air on NBC. And with 5 seasons of twists and turns already in the bank, with an impressive ensemble cast, there's no doubt that fans have come to feel a certain way about their most loved and least favorite characters. But who are the most loved and hated characters of the franchise, and what is it about these characters that have them ranked as such? Well, whether you're a fan of the show or just want to know more about the extent to which your favorite characters are beloved, you've come to the right place, as we're about to rank the personalities of This Is Us from most loved to hated. So strap yourselves in and get ready for a bumpy ride, as things are about to get exciting. But before we get into it, make sure you leave a like and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on any of the new videos we post. Number 1, Jack Pearson. First up on our list, taking on the position of most loved character in the entirety of the franchise, is the one and only Jack Pearson, who is brilliantly portrayed by Milo Ventimiglia. And although the love that this character gets is definitely somewhat connected to Milo, who fans have come to love ever since he first appeared as the leading character of Heroes, it must be said that there are far more reasons to love than hate Jack Pearson. Although he passed away many years prior to the start of the show, the audience has come to experience him through constant flashbacks to a happier time when the kids of the family were just that. Don't get us wrong though, we know that as a character the man has had his ups and downs, but it's this innocent nature that he has been portrayed with that allowed him to grow on us, making his self-destructive actions later far more difficult to bear. A great example of his self-destructive nature was the result of some deep-rooted insecurities, which a great number of viewers found themselves identifying with. Who doesn't have insecurities after all? Jack also suffered from a pretty huge drinking problem, but it must be said that this was something that he very much got under control as the days of his life went by. When it really came down to it though, audiences found themselves rooting for the man because he was such an incredible husband and father, regardless of what he was feeling or experiencing at the time. So not only was he as a character highly relatable, he was also respected and admired among the fan base, allowing him to take this top position with ease. Number 2, Rebecca Pearson. Coming in close second on our list is Rebecca Pearson, who is portrayed by the beautiful Mandy Moore. The main reason why Rebecca finds herself so high on this list is similar to how her brother was able to steal our hearts. You see, viewers just couldn't help but want the best for her, considering everything she has gone through across the runtime of the show. She ended up giving up her lifelong dream of becoming a famous singer so that she could look after her 3 loving children, which she was blessed with all at once and quite unexpectedly. She also stuck with the man she loved despite the fact that he didn't have a penny to his name, stating that money had nothing on love when it comes to an incredible family life. And it looks like she made the right decision at the end of the day, with fans absolutely adoring her as a result of her position as a doting wife and incredible mother. Modern media has been concentrating on strong, independent women for quite some time now, but when it came to Rebecca, things were different. She was shown to be struggling even though she was in a loving relationship, and convinced the audience of the fact that you don't have to be alone to be regarded as a strong, independent woman. She was also seen to do the absolute best that she could and never allowed her husband and children to see her without a smile on her face. Yes, it may be true that she's a bit of a meddler and should probably stay out of her kids' lives more, but we have to remember that she always means well by her actions and only wants the best for them. As such, she is the perfect runner-up in a list of likability. Number 3, Randall Pearson. Keeping it in the family, the 3rd position on our list is taken up by Randall Pearson, who is expertly portrayed by Sterling K. Brown. And the main reason why Randall finds himself towards the top of this list is due to the brilliance that is Sterling, who has worked so incredibly hard to solidify his character as one of the greatest on the show. Fans might not know this, but Sterling has been said to be one of the only cast members to ever approach producers with ideas for his own character. He also has a tendency to make up dialogue on the spot, hoping that his fellow cast members will riff off of him in an attempt to bring up raw emotion. A great example of Sterling bringing real life to the screen can be seen in the moment where both he and his father are having their haircut at a barbershop. The entirety of this conversation was unscripted and involved the characters riffing off of one another in an attempt to bring the show to a place of unfiltered emotion. The same can be said about when they encountered and drank from a whites-only fountain. These are some of the audience's favorite moments overall, and surprisingly came from the mind of Sterling K. Brown. Other than the incredible skill of the man who portrays him, Randall is also quirky, eccentric, obsessive, and anxious about life, which makes him one of the most relatable characters on the show. He is so passionate about his children, wife, and everything he does that he reaches the point of embarrassment, becoming corny for the way that he feels. It's a quality that designates him as someone who simply doesn't care what others think. He simply enjoys the things that he likes and gets on with life in the happiest way possible. On the negative side of things, he can be a bit controlling at times, and his energy levels could be considered by many to be quite annoying. But we also understand that he is the way that he is because of the way that he was brought up. He often feels like an unwanted third wheel because of the way that Kevin treated him growing up, which is why he acts so loud and intrusive at times. That being said, the good most certainly outweighs the bad, which is not what we can say for the next character on our list. Number 4, the younger version of Kevin. On the topic of what has brought out the negatives in Randall, we have to talk about 12-year-old Kevin, who is by far one of the most hated characters in the This Is Us universe. The younger version of Justin Hartley's character was pretty horrible towards his adopted brother, Randall, while growing up, often feeling like Randall was the one that was always getting more attention than him. It's a dynamic that we often see when an adopted or new sibling arrives on the scene. So to a certain extent, we have to ask ourselves whether Kevin could really be blamed for the way that he was feeling. Emotions can take you to some pretty crazy places after all, but it's difficult to forget the things that he would say to make Randall feel bad about himself. That being said, between the troubled Kate and anxious Randall, it's quite true that poor Kevin was left ignored by his family on many occasions. It's for this reason that although he is highly disliked, we wouldn't place him any lower on the list. Number 5, Zoe Baker. Another character that finds herself on the unlikable side of the spectrum is Zoe Baker, who is portrayed by the charismatic Melanie Liebert. Once more, viewers found themselves disliking Zoe because it appeared as if she was playing with Kevin's heart. She was clearly closed off due to the troubled childhood that she had lived through, making her deathly afraid of commitment. But Kevin, too, found himself in the same position, terrified to commit and open himself up to being hurt again. That being said, the man found himself taking the leap, eventually opening himself up to Zoe, only to have her tell him that she couldn't possibly do the same. And if this was her position from the start, we could have never faulted her for feeling this way, but it most certainly was not. She constantly informed Kevin that she just needed some more time, but in the end, timing just wasn't enough. It must also be said that despite the strong feelings that Kevin had for Zoe, there was always something missing in their relationship. At least that's how it felt as an audience member. Zoe was, to a certain extent, too self-involved to be able to fully give herself to another, so it was a definite relief when the plot resulted in the two cutting ties with one another. We just wish that she hadn't wasted so much of poor Kevin's time, with the breakup having the effect of solidifying his insecurities even further. Just another reason why we couldn't hold things against him in the end. Number 6, Toby Damon. Last but not least, we have the most hated character of the franchise, who is none other than Toby Damon, as portrayed by the talented Chris Sullivan. And the main reason why Toby finds himself at the very bottom of our list has to do with the impressions that he made at the very start of the series. When introduced for the first time, Toby appeared to be a sweet and kind man. You know, the type of man that Kate needed to get herself out of her funk and assist in raising her self-confidence. The man's that took some notes from The Notebook and pulled off some of the most romantic gestures, making her feel like an absolute queen. What more could a girl ask for, right? Well, as it turns out, this wasn't the real Toby at all. Despite everything he had done for Kate in the past, things fell apart when she gave birth to his visually impaired son, which caused Toby to do the most cowardly thing possible by running away and abandoning her. And although it may be true that towards the end of the last season, fans noticed how he is coming around, it goes without saying that the damage has been done. We can never see Toby in the same limelight again, which is a pity considering our initial impression of him. But what do you think of our list? Be sure to let us know in the comments section down below.